Gajah Mada, also known as Jirnnodhara, was a powerful military leader and mahapatih, the approximate equivalent of a modern prime minister, of the Javanese empire of Majapahit during the 14th century. He is credited in Old Javanese manuscripts, poems, and inscriptions with bringing the empire to its peak of glory. He delivered an oath called Sumpah Palapa, in which he vowed not to rest until he had conquered all of the Southeast Asian archipelago of Nusantara for Majapahit. During his reign, the Hindu epics, including the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, became ingrained in the Javanese culture and worldview through the performing arts of wayang kulit or leather puppets. He is considered an important national hero in modern Indonesia, as well as a symbol of patriotism and national unity. Historical accounts of his life, political career, and administration are taken from several sources, mainly the Paraton or the Book of Kings, the Negara Kretagama, a Javanese language eulogy, and an inscription dating from the mid-14th century. Much of the modern popular depiction of Gajah Mada derives from the imagination of Muhammad Yamin in his 1945 book Gajah Mada, Pahlawan Persachin Nusantara. One day in the 1940s, Yamin visited Trowulan, the site of the capital city of the former Majapahit kingdom. He found fragments of terracotta, one of which was a piggy bank in the form of the face of a man with a stocky face and curly hair. Based on the look on the piggy bank's face, Yamin interpreted this as the face of Gajah Mada, the unifier of the archipelago. Yamin then asked the artist Hank Nantung to make a painting based on the terracotta fragment. The painting was displayed as the cover of Yamin's book. Many people disagree with Yamin's opinion because it is impossible for the face of a figure as big as Gajah Mada to be displayed in a piggy bank. Such a portrayal is considered an insult because usually the state leaders during the Hindu-Buddhist era, including Majapahit, were made in effigy as statues. Some even believe that the face was none other than Yamin's own face. Another illustration of the historical Gajah Mada, different from Yamin's, is the result of research at the University of Indonesia by archaeologist Agus Aris Munandar. He interpreted that Gajah Mada was depicted as Bhima in wayang shadow puppet shows, with a transverse mustache. In popular depiction, Gajah Mada is mostly shown bare-chested, wearing a sarong, and using a weapon in the form of a kreese. While this may have been true on civilian duties, his official outfit might have been different. A Sundanese patih explained in the Kidung Sundayana that Gajah Mada wore a gold-embossed karambalang in her breastplate and was armed with a gold-layered spear and a shield full of diamond decoration. According to Munandar, at first Gajah Mada was depicted as a Brajamada character from the Panji tales, and as Bhima from the Mahabharata in later eras. The Panji story was known earlier than the activities of making Bhima statues, which apparently began in the mid-15th century, so the former was likely Gajah Mada's original depiction. The glorification of Gajah Mada in the first stage is profane, in the form of its depiction as Brajamada, but then the glorification of Gajah Mada occurs in the second stage, which is more sacred, which is equated with Bhima as an aspect of Shiva. In the statue found at the National Museum of Indonesia, the statue is depicted with a sturdy body, transverse mustache, and wavy curls. At the top of the head there is a hair tie with a ribbon forming like a teak's hat. He wears clothes and jewelry, bracelets, and an upper armband in the form of a snake like Bhima's. The traditional Bhima statue depiction associated with Gajah Mada was made at the end of Majapahit in the mid-15th century. The characteristics are: wearing a supit urang crown, his hair is shaped in two arches at the top of the head like a shrimp tongs, a transverse mustache, strong body, wearing poleng, black and white cloth, and the phallus is always depicted standing out. In the Bhima statue stored in the National Museum, he is depicted standing upright with both hands beside his body, his right hand holding a gada, a kind of mace. His phallus is depicted as protruding with a shawl hanging between his legs. He is wearing a serpent upavita, a crown of supit urang, a grim face, and a thick transverse mustache. And the hair above the forehead is described as curly, forming a jamang, forehead decoration. The similarity between the statue of Brajamada as the embodiment of Gajah Mada and the statue of Bhima is not a coincidence. But there is an underlying conception that is developed along with the distance between historical events and their worshippers at a later time. The word Gajah or elephant refers to a large animal that is respected by other animals. In Hindu mythology, it is believed to be a vahana, animal mount of the god Indra. Elephants are also associated with Ganesha, the elephant-headed god with a human body, the son of Shiva and Parvati. As for the word Mada, In the ancient Javanese language, possibly derived from Sanskrit, where the word has the same meaning, it means drunk. When an elephant is drunk, he will walk arbitrarily and violently, overcoming all obstacles. So when it is associated with the figure of Gajah Mada, the name can be interpreted in two ways, namely, Number 1. He considered himself to be the vehicle of the king, the executor of the king's orders, just as the elephant Airavata became the vahana of the god Indra. Number 2. He is a person who seems drunk and violent when faced with various obstacles that will hinder the progress of the kingdom. It really is the right choice of name, and it seems that the name has been carefully thought out, its meaning having been previously used for his name. In the Gajah Mada inscription, another nickname was used, namely Rakrian mahapatih Jirnnodhara. It is possible the name is just a title for Gajah Mada, but it can also be seen as the official name. The meaning of the word Jirnnodhara is builder of something new, or restorer of something that has fallen apart. In a literal sense, Gajah Mada is the builder of Kaitya for Kirtanagara, which did not exist before. In a figurative sense, he can be seen as a restorer and successor to Kirtanagara's ideas in the Nusantara mandala concept. Not much is known about Gajah Mada's early life, but he was born into an ordinary family. Early accounts mention his career as a commander of the Bhayankara, an elite royal guard for the Majapahit king and royal family. When Rakrian Kuti, an official from Majapahit, rebelled against King Jirnnodhara in 1321, Gajah Mada and the mahapatih Arya Tada rescued the king and his family by escaping from the capital city of Trowulan. Later Gajah Mada helped the king return to the capital and crush the rebellion. 7 years later, Jirnnodhara was murdered by the court physician Rakrian Tanka, an aide of Rakrian Kuti. Another version suggests that Jirnnodhara was assassinated by Gajah Mada in 1328. Jirnnodhara was overly protective of his two half-sisters, born from Kirtirajasa's youngest queen, Daya Dewi Gayatri. Complaints by the two young princesses led to the intervention of Gajah Mada. His solution was to arrange for a surgeon to murder the king while pretending to perform surgery. Jirnnodhara was immediately succeeded by his half-sister Tribhuwana Wijayatunggadwi. However, when she took the throne, the Sedang and Kita region did not send their delegations, which was interpreted as a rebellion. This was later confirmed when Tribhuwana's spies discovered that both regions were preparing for rebellions. Sedang and Kita were coastal regions who were formerly conquered by Majapahit. However, the death of Nambi in 1316, a local patih who was deemed instrumental in raising both regions, also contributed to the rebellion. At this time Sedang was also led by a famed Majapahit general, Waroda Wiraganti. While Gajah Mada was still currently a patih, he was sent by Tribhuwana with the advice of the Sikli mahapatih Arya Tada to negotiate with rebel leaders in 1331. However, the Majapahit general Rakembar, a rival of Gajah Mada, preceded his arrival with his army to crush both rebellions. His men Jabung Taruz, Lembu Pitung, Dan Ikalan Bang were also the ones implicated in the murder of Nambi. This led to a conflict between Gajah Mada's and Rakembar's forces, which was only resolved when Tribhuwana herself led the battles against both rebelling regions. After Arya Tada's retirement, Gajah Mada was picked as mahapatih in 1334. It was during Gajah Mada's reign as mahapatih, around the year 1345, that the famous Muslim traveler Ibn Battuta visited Sumatra. It is said that it was during his appointment as mahapatih under Queen Tribhuwana Tunggadwi that Gajah Mada took his famous oath, the Palapa Oath or Sumpah Palapa. The telling of the oath is described in the Paraton, Book of Kings, an account of Javanese history that dates from the 15th or 16th century. The oaths are as follows. Eventually, Gajah Mada became Patih Mangkubumi, but did not want to amakti Palapa. Gajah Mada swore, "If I have conquered the Nusantara archipelago, then I will amakti Palapa. If I have conquered Gurun, Seram, Tanjungpura, Paru, Pahang, Dampo, Bali, Sunda, Palembang, Tumasik, Singapore, then I will amakti Palapa." Petrus Josephus Zogmutter defines amakti Palapa as enjoying a state where everything can be taken, or simply enjoying pleasure, while according to Slamet Malyana it means enjoying rest. Even his closest friends were at first doubtful of his oath, but Gajah Mada kept pursuing his dream to unify Nusantara under the glory of Majapahit. Soon he conquered the surrounding territory of Bedahulu, Bali, and Lombok, 1343. He then sent the navy westward to attack the remnants of the thalassocratic kingdom of Sriwijaya in Palembang. There he installed Aditya Werman, a Majapahit prince, as vassal ruler of the Minangkabau in West Sumatra. He then conquered the first Islamic sultanate in Southeast Asia, Samudra Pasai, and another state in Swanadvipa or Sumatra. Gajah Mada also conquered Bintan, Tumasik or Singapore, Melayu, now known as Jambi, and Kalimantan. At the resignation of Queen Tribawanatunggadwi, her son, Hayam Wuruk, ruled 1350 to 1389, became king. Gajah Mada retained his position as mahapatih under the new king and continued his military campaign by expanding eastward into Logaja, Gurun, Seram, Hutangkadali, Sasik, Budan, Bangai, Kunir, Galian, Salayer, Sumba, Muar or Saparua, Solor, Bima, Wandan or Banda, Ambon, Timor, and Dampo. He thus effectively brought the modern Indonesian archipelago under Majapahit control, which spanned not only the territory of today's Indonesia but also that of Tumasek, the historical name for Singapore, and the states comprising modern-day Malaysia, Brunei, the southern Philippines and East Timor. According to the Gajah Mada inscription, dated 1273 Saka or 1351 CE, in the month of Wesaka, sang Mahamantra Makirakrian Mapati Ampu Mada or Gajah Mada commanded, created and inaugurated a sacred building of Katia, dedicated for the late Paduka Batara sang Luma Ri Siwa Buddha or King Kertanagara, who had died in 1214 Saka or 1292 CE in the month of Jesta. The inscription was discovered in Singasari subdistrict, Malong, East Java, and was written in Old Javanese script and language. The Katia or temple mentioned in this inscription is possibly Singasari temple. The special reverence to King Kertanagara of Singasari demonstrated by Gajah Mada suggests that the Mahapatih honored the late king tremendously, and possibly the two are related. Some historians suggest that possibly Kertanagara was Gajah Mada's grandfather. In 1357, the only remaining state refusing to acknowledge Majapahit's hegemony was Sunda, in West Java, bordering the Majapahit Empire. King Hayam Wuruk intended to marry Daya Pitaloka Sitaresmi, a princess of Sunda and the daughter of Sunda's king. Gajah Mada was given the task to go to the Bubit Square in the northern part of Trowulan to welcome the princess as she arrived with her father and escort to Majapahit Palace. Gajah Mada took this opportunity to demand Sunda's submission to Majapahit rule. While the Sunda king thought that the royal marriage was a sign of a new alliance between Sunda and Majapahit, Gajah Mada thought otherwise. He stated that the princess of Sunda was not to be hailed as the new queen consort of Majapahit, but merely as a concubine, as a sign of submission of Sunda to Majapahit. This misunderstanding led to embarrassment and hostility, which quickly rose into a skirmish and then the full-scale Battle of Bubit. The Sunda king with all of his guards as well as the royal party were overwhelmed by Majapahit troops and subsequently killed in the field of Bubit. Tradition holds that the heartbroken princess, Daya Pitaloka Sitaresmi, committed suicide. Gajah Mada died in obscurity in 1364, at the age of 74. King Hayam Wuruk considered the power Gajah Mada had accumulated during his time as Mahapatih too much to handle for a single person. Therefore, the king split the responsibilities that had been Gajah Mada's between 4 separate new Mahamantri, equal to ministries, thereby probably increasing his own power. King Hayam Wuruk, who is said to have been a wise leader, was able to maintain the hegemony of Majapahit in the region that was gained during Gajah Mada's service. However, Majapahit slowly fell into decline after the death of Hayam Wuruk,